While he was still an Ontario NDP MP before winning the NDP leadership at the federal level, Jagmeet Singh spoke at a rally drumming up support for a separate Sikh homeland. The push for Khalistan is a challenging topic for Canadian politicians, and that was particularly evident during the Prime Minister's recent tour of India. Singh issued a statement responding to the Globe and Mail article, but he declined to say if he supports a separatist state in India. But it reads in part, "While there, I spoke directly about the pain in the community and my own path to learning about my heritage. When faced with that knowledge that your relatives were targeted for who they were, you are faced with the question of how to respond. My response was to embrace my identity and work harder to stand up for human rights and not allow the voices of the marginalized to be made silent." Well, let's bring in someone who knows a thing or two about this issue. Arshy Mann is a reporter of the Extra in Toronto. He's written on the controversy over Sikh extremism. Arshy, is there a political price, you believe, to be paid for Jagmeet Singh speaking at this pro-Khalistan movement rally in 2015?
I think that's still yet to be determined. I mean, when you're looking at the speech that Jagmeet Singh gave, you have to kind of look at it in multiple parts. There's the actual content of the speech, there's the venue for it, and of course his response to the Globe and Mail article. The content of his speech was quite banal, actually. In it, he doesn't call for a separate Sikh homeland. I've interviewed Singh in the past. I've been following his career for a long time. To my knowledge, he's never publicly called for a separate Sikh homeland. What he's talked about is that Sikhs should have a right to self-determination, similar to, say, Quebecois people or Catalonians. The venue was a little bit more problematic and might get a little bit of ire. Over there were, of course, people calling for an independent Khalistan. And there were also posters venerating Jarnail Singh Bhindranwala, who is a militant leader killed in 1984 during Operation Blue Star. Bhindranwala is a figure that some people look up to as a kind of resistance leader, while many others condemn as a terrorist. So how this exactly plays out politically, I think we still don't quite know.
I wanted to, if I can, bring in a big voice in the Indo-Canadian community. He's got a political background. He's got some personal experience at the hands of a Sikh extremist. Here's what former BC Premier Ujjal Dosanjh told me earlier today from New Delhi.
You know, one has to, if you want to be the Prime Minister of the country, like Canada, you need to make sure that you don't associate yourself with those who might promote violence, not be seen in front of the posters of those who believe violence is all right to achieve political ends, and you know, be able to at least condemn violent terrorists like Dalvinder Parmar by name.
Yeah, okay. I'd like to get your thoughts. Should Jagmeet Singh be denouncing the Air India bomber and other extremists?
I don't think Jagmeet Singh needs to denounce the Air India bomber more than any other politician. However, when he is asked direct questions about it, I think that, yes, he should probably say, I believe that Dalvinder Singh Parmar was the mastermind behind the Air India bombing, and I condemn it. However, you know, these aren't really questions that are asked of other political leaders, and I think a lot of the focus is put on him because of his faith. And responding to what Mr. Dosanjh was saying with regards to associating yourself with extremists, we don't have any evidence that Jagmeet Singh has associated himself with extremists. Even speaking at this rally, while there were people who venerated Bhindranwala, there weren't any people that we know of that are involved in violent or extremist activities. In Canada, that kind of activity has completely died down. We have absolutely no evidence of that, especially since the Canadian government listed the International Sikh Youth Federation, Babbar Khalsa, as terrorist organizations. There is still separatist organizing that happens in Canada, but it's of a peaceful variety.
I know. I guess the concern that Ujjal raised, and you've sort of addressed this, is that, you know, we could unsettle Canada's relations with India if a man, let's keep in mind, Jagmeet Singh could be the Prime Minister in 18 months if it pulls off a political upset. But if you're saying a would-be Prime Minister supports an independent breakaway state, that's going to cause a lot of diplomatic problems, isn't it?
I mean, once again, Singh hasn't said that he supports an independent Sikh state. But when it comes to relations with India, this is a problem that all Canadian prime ministers have faced, regardless of their political stripe. It's a problem that Stephen Harper faced during his trip to India. He was essentially, Manmohan Singh, the prime minister at the time, refused to do a press conference with him because Manmohan Singh believed that Canada was still a hotbed for sort of terrorist activity. Obviously, Justin Trudeau faced similar criticisms, especially in light of Jaspal Atwal's presence on that trip. And if Jagmeet Singh was to become prime minister, he would face similar criticisms. What India wants in general is not just a crackdown on extremist and terrorist organizing, but a crackdown on free speech and on political organizing for a referendum that would establish an independent Sikh homeland. And there's just no Canadian prime minister of any political party that's going to crack down on free speech of Canadians to make an ally like India happy.
All right, good point. I think you've cleared up a lot of confusion. She appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Don.